How does someone go from royal fairy tales to financial chaos, from living in palaces to chasing crypto deals in the desert? For years, Sarah Ferguson was one of the most recognizable women in Britain. She had the connections, the lifestyle, and the charm that could light up any room. But behind that smile was a storm, a lifetime of reckless spending, risky ventures, and the kind of scandals even the royal family couldn't hide forever. This isn't the story of privilege, it's the story of obsession. An obsession with money, fame, and the illusion of status that's cost her everything she ever had. From secret loans and luxury addictions to a failed Bitcoin empire that ended in lawsuits, Sarah's life has become a case study in how fast everything can fall apart when the spotlight becomes your only lifeline. And just when it seemed she'd hit rock bottom, she found a way to sink even deeper. Before we uncover how one of Britain's most talked about women turned her fame into a financial nightmare, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story only gets wilder from here. Before the scandals, the headlines, and the financial chaos, Sarah Ferguson's life was anything but glamorous. She grew up far from the wealth and status she'd one day chase, working odd jobs as a chalet cleaner, scrubbing toilets, waiting tables, and earning just enough to get by. There were no red carpets, no royal dinners, just long days, small paychecks, and dreams that seemed far out of reach. Then everything changed. In 1986, Sarah stepped into a world she could never have imagined. Her marriage to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor catapulted her from everyday life into the upper tiers of Britain's most famous family. Overnight, she went from wiping tables to attending state banquets, surrounded by cameras and courtiers. The public saw a vibrant new addition to the royal circle, full of energy, laughter, and charm. But behind the smiles, she was already falling into the same trap that's defined her life ever since, believing that glamour and happiness came with a price tag. At first, it looked harmless. A few extravagant shopping trips, designer outfits, and over-the-top vacations. But soon, the spending became a statement. On one flight home from New York, she reportedly brought more than 50 pieces of luggage filled with tens of thousands of pounds worth of shopping. Hidden inside, a £515 teddy bear, a symbol of just how far she drifted from the world she came from. Even palace staff couldn't believe it. To them, it wasn't confidence, it was chaos wrapped in couture. The signs of trouble were everywhere. Her obsession with luxury spiraled into a routine. Constant purchases, lavish parties, and bills that dwarfed her income. She believed the royal name came with an endless stream of money. It didn't. Insiders say she quickly learned that being connected to the monarchy didn't mean being funded by it. The result? An early taste of the financial headaches that would follow her for decades. By the time whispers began circulating through palace halls about her mounting debts, the image of the fun, free-spirited newcomer was already cracking. To outsiders, she was still the woman living a dream life. But to those around her, she was someone trying to buy happiness, one expensive mistake at a time. As the royal romance began to crumble, Sarah's financial life was already in freefall. The glitter of high society had worn off, replaced by the harsh reality of unpaid bills and growing debt. For years, she'd lived as if the money would never run out. But behind the palace walls, that illusion shattered fast. By the early 1990s, Sarah owed millions. Reports claimed she was deep in debt to Coutts Bank, one of Britain's most exclusive financial institutions. Her annual spending was staggering, hundreds of thousands on gifts, parties and staff. She filled her homes with designer furniture, flowers and luxury trainers who charged more for a session than most people earned in a week. Every detail of her life screamed extravagance, but her bank account told a very different story. Inside the palace, frustration grew. Former aides described her as extravagant to the extreme, while royal insiders whispered that she had a hopeless grasp of money and an even stronger addiction to attention. Even as her marriage fell apart, Sarah clung to the lifestyle that came with it. She once said she never felt royal enough, and maybe that's what drove her, the need to prove she belonged, no matter the cost. When the marriage officially ended in 1996, Sarah lost more than a husband. She lost her financial safety net. But even after the divorce, she couldn't walk away from the comfort of royal privilege. She continued to live on the estate, still close to Andrew, still relying on him for support. Those who knew them best described it as a strange kind of dependency, two people bound not by love, but by shared secrets and financial survival. Andrew bailed her out time and again, paying off debts and smoothing over public scandals. In return, Sarah stood by him whenever controversy surrounded his name. It was a silent arrangement, one that kept both of them afloat while dragging their reputations further down. Royal watchers called it a destructive mutual reliance. Neither could seem to let go, even as their world continued to collapse. But when King Charles finally cut off the lifeline, stripping titles, reclaiming properties, and tightening royal budgets, Sarah's reality came crashing down. The safety net was gone. For the first time in decades, she was on her own. And that's when things took an even darker turn. Because without royal protection, Sarah Ferguson would turn to something new, a world that promised fast money, modern fame, and endless opportunity. A world that would almost destroy her. When the royal safety net disappeared, Sarah Ferguson didn't slow down. She reinvented herself, or at least she tried to. Publicly, she began portraying herself as an entrepreneur, an author, and a wellness advocate. There were children's books, self-help titles, tea lines, and diet programs, dozens of ventures, each one promising a fresh start. But behind every new launch was the same pattern: bold claims, short-lived success, and financial chaos lurking just out of sight. Then came 2010, the year everything unraveled. Hidden cameras caught Sarah offering access to her ex-husband in exchange for £500,000. The footage went viral overnight. The woman who once represented royal warmth was suddenly caught in one of the most humiliating scandals in royal history. She blamed desperation, she blamed alcohol, but the damage was done. The public no longer saw a charming rebel, they saw someone willing to sell her past to survive her present. After that, Sarah's reputation was in ruins. Yet somehow she couldn't stay away from the spotlight. Every few years, a new business, a new project, a new reinvention. But the bigger the promise, the harder the crash. In 2019, she made her most disastrous move yet: a deal with a cryptocurrency venture in the Nevada desert. The company, Pegasus Group Holdings, claimed it would build a £3 billion solar-powered Bitcoin mining empire called The Hive.
The vision sounded futuristic, the returns irresistible, and who better to sell it to investors than Sarah Ferguson, the woman who still knew how to make headlines. She joined as a brand ambassador, praising the company's visionary leadership and bold innovation. The deal promised her hundreds of thousands up front and £1 million bonus if the project succeeded, but it didn't. It collapsed under lawsuits, fraud accusations, and financial scandal. Investors claimed their money was stolen, and not a single data center was ever built. Once again, Sarah's name was tied to a disaster. Critics called it another example of her poor judgment, chasing glamour and fast money instead of learning from her past. She wasn't accused of wrongdoing, but she didn't walk away untouched either. For many, it was proof that her instinct for wealth was stronger than her sense of caution. And just like that, she'd gone from royal insider to tabloid headline again. The woman who once dined with world leaders was now fronting a failed crypto empire, trying to convince the world she still belonged in the conversation. But as the lawsuits piled up and her investments crumbled, Sarah was already planning her next reinvention, one that would rely not on money or power, but on sympathy.
After years of scandal and financial wreckage, Sarah Ferguson did what she's always done best. She rebranded. And as her royal safety net vanished for good, Sarah was left facing the question she spent her whole life avoiding. Without the money, the titles, or the spotlight, who is she really?